What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more Chicago Bulls news to discuss as another player has re-signed for the Chicago Bulls. A very surprising one in my opinion, but nevertheless, he is coming back to the Chicago Bulls, and his name is Derrick Jones Jr. The Chicago Bulls superfan, ladies and gentlemen, as he stated earlier on last season, will be coming back to the Chicago Bulls, and I think this could be a good move. At the end of the day, here's what I want to see, what I don't want to see from Derrick Jones Jr. We'll be discussing the positives and the negatives behind what Derrick Jones Jr. can bring to the Chicago Bulls team. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Derrick Jones Jr. and what he could bring to the Chicago Bulls team. So, we'll talk about the stats. Again, we're all Bulls fans here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you know exactly what Derrick Jones Jr. will bring to the table, but playing 51 games for the Chicago Bulls, he also played in pain throughout the course of the season, so you've got to give him some credit for that. Season averages was 5.6 points, 3.3 rebounds, 0.6 assists, shooting 53.8% from the field, 32.8% from the three-point line. So obviously, you get to see those strengths and weaknesses there already. Is he a three-point shooter? He had a very good start to the season from the three-point line, ended the season very poorly from the three-point line. Again, I think we misused him dramatically last season, and I'm hoping that with bringing him back into the Chicago Bulls team, we don't misuse him again. Here's the problem that I face. Last season, we played Derrick Jones Jr. as backup center. We played him as power forward, and I don't think he's that player. Maybe he can play power forward against some teams, but I've never, ever liked seeing Derrick Jones Jr. as a backup center. I trusted it from time to time because there are certain teams you can trust Derrick Jones Jr. being a good backup center purely based on athleticism alone. But we need to see Derrick Jones Jr. play in more of those wing to forward positions. As long as we're not seeing Derrick Jones Jr. as a center ever again, because we've got Andre Drummond now, I'll be very, very happy with this deal. He's 25 years old, so he's still a relatively young player and has room to grow and improve. We're talking about guys like Mo Bamba and Isaiah Hartenstein all being 24 years old, and his development to grow beyond what he already is. I think Derrick Jones Jr. is in the same category, probably obviously not as good as those players, but he can still develop beyond what he already is for the Chicago Bulls. He can still develop a three-point shot, which is going to be a necessity heading into next season. And I think his defense could be very decent for the Chicago Bulls as well. Now, as I said before, it's not the first option for the Chicago Bulls. It's far from the first option in my opinion. I think we wanted Danilo Gallinari, but he went to the Boston Celtics. So we went with Derrick Jones Jr. I think this wasn't even Derrick Jones Jr.'s first choice. The contract that he actually had, I'm fairly certain he was looking to get paid a little bit more, but odds are he didn't get the money that he wanted and he came back to the Chicago Bulls. The contract is a 2-year, $6.6 million contract. So obviously I think that's $3.3 million per season. Not a bad deal in my opinion for the Chicago Bulls. So again, relatively cheaper deal. We're bringing back a player that again helps with the continuity of the team. But is this really the needle threader or the needle changer that we needed? We already see what Derrick Jones Jr. can bring. I'm sure he could do a little bit more with more time on the team, more development on the team, and hopefully a healthier season. He might be able to do more for this team. I'm hoping his inconsistencies are something of the past. I don't really like the fact that some games he just has 0 points, it doesn't make an impact. In other games he plays phenomenally well. But I hope he can develop into something further, and we'll have to wait and see what will end up happening in relation to Derrick Jones Jr. But I'm not upset. I'm not upset with this type of deal, but again, this is not something that's going to, I guess, take us to the next level, is it? We've already seen what our team will look like. So all I'm hoping is Derrick Jones Jr. just brings the absolute best he can heading into the next 2 seasons of his Chicago Bulls career. He is a super fan. I like that he likes the Chicago Bulls and he wanted to play here since he was a kid. And we'll wait and see if he can end up taking that next level. That's what we're going to need out of Derrick Jones Jr. That's what we're going to need out of a lot of these players. And again, we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Are you happy with this deal? Are you upset with this deal? Did you want another prospect? Did you want another player? All of those things you'll have to let me know in the comments below. I think the Bulls are getting desperate, to be honest. And that's fully what I believe. And we'll wait and see how the outcome ends up approaching. I think for most people, it's not been the greatest free agency period. And I can't say I blame you, but I think we all know who's to be blamed at this point. And I'll make a video about it later, but for now, let's just keep on waiting and seeing what the Bulls can do. Maybe there's something down the line that we could be waiting for. Take care and peace.